Hello everybody, my name is Cody Berry, bringing you guys yet another video, and in today's video, I'm getting back into the D&D tier lists, but not the tier list right now. That'll be in a video later on this week, or maybe later on today. I'll try to do it maybe later on in just the week in general. I actually realized that I never even finished the Paladin. I did both of the subclasses for the Paladin, but I never did do the overview of the Paladin, which is kind of important, I guess, to do. So, for the Paladin, if you guys want to know about the actual in-depths on their subclasses, then go watch the other two videos. If you don't know exactly what I'm doing, essentially, in the tier list videos, I go over the subclasses and what the subclasses give, which is more just focusing on what the subclasses give to the Paladin as a whole, and it's kind of like a general, like a pure focusing in on those where I don't really go over the whole hit points and proficiencies and all this extra stuff that every paladin gets. I really just go over what the subclasses themselves give specifically to the paladin, but you don't actually know the paladin has. So I do kind of make these videos like backwards. I should probably make the overview and then focus down, but I think I've always made them like this, where I've always done the subclasses and then the overview, because I think my very first one is I just want to do the tier list of all the subclasses, and then later on I was like, maybe I should actually do an overview so you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, why does this piece fit really well into the kit, but this piece doesn't fit well into the kit? Well, you don't know the kit, so you don't know why the pieces fit well or not. So that's kind of where these videos came from, and today's because it's going to be in the Paladin. Hopefully I'll be getting back into this. Hopefully I'll be able to get like the Paladin and I don't even know who's after the Paladin. The Ranger, I think, like Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, I think is the order. And then I'll be done with that, I guess, and then I can move on to maybe more D&D content or maybe more anime content. Definitely both. I just don't know the order I'm going to do it. So be on the lookout for all of that. But for right now, let's get into the actual video itself, which is the overview of the Paladin. So right off the bat, when you pick the Paladin, you're going to get 1d10 per Paladin level, which is quite a bit of hit points to get. You automatically get 10 to start, and then Constitution modifier. He does just have like some random, like just the core stats of it. I mean, you should have Charisma as a Paladin. You should have it more like, if you were gonna have like a weird looking stat line, you almost maybe something a little bit more like this. I mean, you'd obviously have like random numbers and not like such an exact spot for everything, but you'd want to focus on strength and charisma, as they are a strength and charisma based class. Strength for their main damage, and charisma because that is their spellcasting stuff, as well as a lot of their miscellaneous things will be focusing on charisma. Constitution is good because you want to have a lot of HP as well, because you're supposed to be a hardy creature who's being a tank for your team. And then Dex can help you out, and then you don't really need the int and the wisdom too much. Next up is your proficiencies. You're proficient in all armor and shields because you're supposed to just be you're just the armor guy. You're the the tank, the spiritual tank in a sense. You're supposed to be all the Holy Crusader appearance of like Jerusalem, like the Holy Crusades type of thing. Like that helmet on, the full armor, a massive two-handed sword. Like that's your like kind of stereotypical paladin in a sense. You've also got proficiency in simple weapons and martial weapons, as once again you're kind of like a fighter, but you can a little bit less on the just a little bit less on the melee, but a little bit more in magic. And your magic specifically is not technically doesn't have to be divine technically, because paladins don't need to make an oath to a god. They just make an oath. That is their main thing, is just an oath, not an oath to a god, which is a common misconception of sorts. Next up, you don't get any tools. You're not supposed to be the those like little minute detail guy. You're supposed to just hit things and talk pretty well. Next is your saving throws, which are wisdom and charisma. So of course, your main stat line for your non-physical based things, and then wisdom because it is, you do want to kind of resist the temptations of evil and stuff like that. Next is your 2 skills to choose from of athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, or religion. You know, you have stuff like athletics, which is strength, wisdom. I don't know if they're lighting up. I don't remember how these videos look actually, and I don't know if my mouse appears. So you have strength, wisdom, charisma, intelligence, I believe. Charisma, intelligence, or wisdom. And of course, I know some DMs like me. You know, if you're doing like an intimidation can be strength or charisma based. Because if you're doing so like a very physical based intimidation tactic, then it doesn't matter how charismatic you are. You're using your muscles to do it. So you know, some changes here with your DM. Me personally, you know, intimidation because you want to be like that more like almost bruiser type character, and then also being able to just persuade people, so you can kind of like, you know, like almost a smaller like a scarier version of a bard, where you want to be rather than deceiving people, you want to be intimidating them. At least that's how I do. You can also do, I mean, any of them are good. Next, all you guys will be getting Divine Sense, which basically allows you to just kind of like send out an aura within a, you know, kind of like a blast radius of 60 feet. And as long as the thing that you're looking for, which is Celestial Fiend or Undead, isn't behind, like it isn't behind total cover, you'll be able to sense it. You do know whether, like, what it is, like you know which one you're looking at. Like you'll know, oh, on the other side, you know, like over there, that is a celestial. Oh, that is an undead creature. But it's not going to be like, oh, that's a level 4 zombie. Or as it gives the example here, you won't know that it's Strahd. Like you'll just know it's a vampire. So it's like, vampire. That's it. But you don't know that that is the big baddie, Sir Count Strahd von Stravich. And this allows you to do once per 1 plus your charisma modifier. So this is where your charisma really comes in handy. And you get it back at a long rest. Lay on Hands is basically a pool that you have, which is 5 times your level, and this will allow you to heal people. You can basically just heal people depending on, like, you can spend 1 hit point to heal somebody 1 HP, and you can, you know, at max level, dump a whole 100 hit points into somebody to fully heal them, like 100 hit points. But you can also dump in just 5 hit points flat, and this will allow you to get rid of a disease or neutralize the poison affecting them. And you can cure multiple of them at the same time with 1 use. You just have to expend 5 hit points per. So if they have poison and 3 diseases affecting them, you need to expend 20 hit points, because this is 5 hit points per thing they're affected by to cure it. So you'd be out 20 hit points, or 20 lay on hand points. So a really strong thing, or like throughout the whole game, because it levels up with you. That's the phrasing. Levels up with you, and because it is times 5 every time, it is actually getting a very strong boost to it. It's not like, oh, you're getting plus 2 every time or something like that. So it's, you know, this huge scaling when you go from 5 all the way to 100, because 5 is definitely enough to be doing stuff early on, and 100 is definitely enough to be doing stuff late game as well. Next up, when you get to level 2, you'll be getting your fighting style, which can be Blessed Warrior, which allows you to get a cantrip from the Cleric. You can get 2 cantrips from the Cleric spell list, and Charisma is your spellcasting for them. Blind Sight, which gives you, or Blind Fighting, which gives you blind sight within 10 feet, which allows you to see everything, unless it is just straight up obscured from your vision, like a wall is in the way or something. But nothing can hide from you, unless they successfully hide as an invisible creature, even if you're blinded, which is insane. While you're wearing armor, you have a +1 to AC when you defense. Dueling is if you have 1 weapon. If you're doing a one-handed melee weapon without something in your other hand, you get a +2 bonus to the damage rolls with that weapon. Great Weapon Fighting, which allows you to reroll 1s and 2s on melee weapons that you're making with a 2-handed attack. So if you're doing one-handed fighting, you can't use this, but if you're having a 2-handed weapon, you can do this. And you can also get it from the versatile property feat. So if it is, you know, one-handed, but then you switch it over to if you switch it over to the 2-handed style, like a longsword or something, then you'll be able to get it. Interception is if when a creature you can see hits a target other than you, you can put your shield or weapon in front of it, and you can reduce the damage that the enemy takes all the way down to 0 potentially. which is pretty good early on. Maybe not the thing that you wanted to have late game, because I mean, a D10 plus your proficiency bonus at max is like 16 when you're all the way as like a top tier thing. Which, don't get me wrong, will you be able to use that? Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see you getting the like a perk or two of that like actually coming into effect, but realistically, late game, maybe not too much, because like, don't get me wrong, as helpful as a D10, 16 damage potentially, but it can also be 7 is not as good as you think. And then protection is really good from early to late game, as this one was when they attack a creature but they haven't hit yet. You can put your shield in the way, and this has to be a shield, it can't be a weapon. You can impose disadvantage on the attack roll, which can protect your allies. Next is your spellcasting. You get a list. You can only go up to level 5, and your casting is charisma. You also get divine smite, which is like the whole bread and butter of the paladin. At second level, when you hit a creature with a melee attack, something that I think a lot of people, like newer players, don't quite understand is a lot of them will go, I'm going to attack this person and I'm going to put Holy Smite on it. And then they cross out the spell, like the spell slot on their thing, and then they miss and they act as if they lost the spell slot. You don't call out you're going to smite and then attack. You hit somebody and then you call down the smite. So no matter what, smite is guaranteed to hit every time. Overpowered, honestly. And what it does is it adds an extra d8 or an extra 2d8 and then an extra d8 per level higher than first to a maximum of 5d8. And the damage increases by 1d8 if the target is undead or fiend, because it is radiant damage, to a maximum of 6d8. And on radiant damage and on undead, the damage is double for radiant effect. So you can be hitting a lot of damage. And this is something especially because you get to call this out afterwards. If you hit a natural 20, you get to call out whatever level you want. So you can hit somebody, call out a level 1. You hit somebody a second time, but that time was a d20. This time you're going to dump that level 5 smite into it, getting 5d8 plus your weapon damage times 2. So you can hit pretty hard as a paladin. It's great. Next, you'll be getting your Sacred Oath, which we went over all of them. Hopefully I didn't miss any and no new ones came into effect. Next is Divine Health, which allows you to become immune to disease. Pretty cool. At 4th level is an ability score improvement. I will just choose one of these just so that you know at what points you'll be getting other things, because there are some things that you get because of your Sacred Oath that I don't want to just seem like you're just not getting anything at that level. It might just be that you're getting it from your subclass. 3rd level, you also get Oath Spells. At 5th level, you get the extra attack, which is when you make the attack action, you get attack twice. At 6th level, you get to do Aura Protection. Also with this, it is not like Divine Smite isn't on one melee hit a turn. It is as many times as you want. So you have an extra attack, you can hit 2 times, and you have haste or something, so you can attack a 3rd time on that turn. You can generally, all 3 of those hit, you can do 3 separate smites and expend 3 separate spell slots. Like, you can just keep smiting enemies. It's really good. At 6th level, you'll get your Aura Protection, which is, I think I will. When do you get it? 7, 15, and 20. So no, this is the Aura Protection that you get as a Paladin. This is whenever you or a friendly creature within 10 feet of you must make a saving throw, the creature gains a bonus to your saving throw equal to your Charisma modifier with a minimum bonus of 1. You must be conscious, and then at 18th level, it increases to 30. So what this is saying is that if they have to make a Wisdom, like any saving throw, it's not saying you have to make a Charisma saving throw, or they do. And this also includes you. So if this is you or a friendly creature, gets to add their Charisma. So you get to add your, you're trying to do like a dexterity saving throw against the fireball. You get to do your dexterity saving throw plus your charisma modifier. So if your dexterity saving throw is +2, because you have +2 dexterity, but no saving throw bonus, so you're not proficient in it. So you get to add +2 from that, and a +4 because you have a 4 charisma modifier. So that's +6. And that's just because you're conscious. If your allies are within 10 feet of you, they're all getting that charisma modifier. On any saving throw, they're automatically getting a +4 because of your charisma modifier being a +4. Super strong. And it's especially at 18th level, you get expended at 30 feet, so no longer does your team need to be as clumped up for it. You get to expand that to a massive range. So I'd say it's pretty cool. Next, you'll get your aura from your subclass. Devotion for obviously the Sacred Oath of Devotion. At 8th level, you'll be getting an ASI, and of course you're always constantly getting more HP and more hit dice to roll during short rests. So, at 9th level, there's nothing at 9th level. Although, you might be getting more spell stuff at 9th level. At 10th level, you get Aura Courage, which you and your friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can't be frightened while you are conscious. That is not something from the Sacred Oath, correct? Because it is 7, 15, and 20. Yeah, so you get... Like, your allies can no longer be frightened as long as they're within 10 feet of you, and then 30 feet of you at 18th level. Getting rid of just straight up saying, hey, you guys can't be frightened anymore. And it's also the wording, your DM might say otherwise, but technically the wording would say that you can't be frightened. It technically means that you could actually just get rid of the frightened condition. Because it could be, oh, I'm scared of this thing. The paladin walks into your area, walks into you, or you walk in, you're running away from that thing that's threatening you, you run into the paladin's aura, frightened condition is gone because Aura Courage relieves you of being afraid because the paladin is there to protect you because he is the big boy who protect. At 11th level, you get Divine Smite. By 11th level, you are so suffused with righteous might that all your melee weapon strikes carry divine power with them. Whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon, the creature takes an extra 1d8 radiant damage. And this is not saying when you cast Divine Smite, you deal an extra 1d8 radiant damage or something. You constantly are dealing an extra 1d8 damage. So whenever you roll your weapon attack, you're rolling your 1d8 or whatever from your melee weapon, and then you're rolling an extra d8 radiant damage. And then you can roll Smite on top of that. So you're really, really good with that radiant damage. And if you're going up against undead or fiends or anything that is weak to your radiant damage, you're going to be obliterating them. So get ready for that. At 12th level, you're getting an ASI. Up here at the 13th level, nothing. Sad day for all the paladins out there. 14th level, you get Cleansing Touch. You can use your action to end one spell on yourself or on one willing creature that you touch. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, a minimum of once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is saying if somebody is under a condition that's causing them to be mind controlled, to be it wouldn't be frightened because they can't be frightened when you get close enough. Mind control, they're charmed, they're put to sleep technically, although you can just use your action to wake them up by shaking them. Your poison conditioned, maybe, if it is due to a spell effect, but basically anything that is a spell thing like that, like any debuff like Bane, you can just fully stop it on that, which is pretty good because you can just get rid of debuffs for free as a paladin as long as you can get touched. Purity of Spirit, that is part of the subclass, so at 15th level you get a subclass thing. 16th is an ASI. 17th is nothing. Sad day. Although I think that is when you get your last spell stuff as a paladin. At 18th level you get the Aura Improvements, which allows them to be 30 feet, and I'm just going to skip to 20 because 19 is an ASI, and at 20th level you become... Holy Nimbus is from the Sacred Oath, right? Yeah, so at 20th level, you get the last thing from your subclass. So the last thing that you get as a paladin is the ASI at 19th. That's the last thing you get as pretty much any class, I think. And then 18th level is the last thing that a paladin exclusively gets. So paladins are a very fun class to play. If your campaign is something that's going to be fighting undead, fiends, going into the Nine Hells, Curse of Strahd, that campaign... that manual, that's what it's called. Anything like that, then a paladin is practically a must, because they are just extremely powerful, and they can do even stronger things against those. But if your thing, yes, you can do extremely well against, pretty well in almost any setting, as you can heal, you're charismatic, you can play with intelligence or wisdom, of course, if you want. Paladins are extremely good in all cases. Getting rid of fear, can cure poison, can get rid of spell effects. The Holy Smite, it doesn't matter if, as long as they're not resisting radiant damage, that's always going to be D8 worth of damage. And especially if you call that out on a natural 20, because then you're basically gonna go, oh look, it's a natural 20, so now you're gonna roll your, your D10 from your weapon, and you're gonna do 5d8 plus an extra d8 from the fact that your weapon is dealing an extra d8 radiant damage naturally. You gotta throw out all those clicky clacks. You get 31, you double it up to 62. I mean, that's 31 damage without doubling it yet. So that's basically gonna be 31. That's gonna be 31 damage up to 62 plus any other bonuses that you get on top of that. So it'd be like, upwards of 70 damage or so, which 70 damage for expending a 5th level spell slot, and you can attack another time, potentially another time if you have smite on you. You're gonna be hitting really hard. Like you're a force to be reckoned with, all right. And being able to have a charisma as one of your main things, charisma comes up way more often than you'd actually think, because having to make deception checks, persuasion checks, intimidation checks, because a lot of times you have to ask, most of the time you have to ask to make an insight check on them. You have to ask for an arcana check on an item. A lot of times your DM asks you to make the deception check, to make the persuasion check, to make the intimidation check. Of course, it might be based on what you're saying, but you never like saying something partway through it say, can I roll a persuasion check to see if I'm persuading him? No, you just keep going with it, and then eventually your DM will either ask you to make a persuasion check, or you just you don't need to. Some additional, your optional features, which ask your DM, of course. You get some additional Paladin smells, which they are just some miscellaneous things. Harness Divine Power, which is 3rd level. You can spend a use of your Channel Divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain 1 expended spell slot, the level of which could be no higher than half your proficiency bonus rounded up. The number of times you can use this feature is based on the level you've reached in this class. 3rd is once, 7th is twice, 15th is thrice. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And at 4th level, you get Martial Diversity, which allows you to change your fighting style during an ASI. And then, of course, spells. It's a lot to go over, honestly. But yeah, that does it for the Paladin. Very good class. Majority, if you want to go see all about the go in depth on the actual subclasses, then you can go on to those videos. That's where I go a bit more in depth and kind of explain those and give a bit more detail and my opinion on all of it. If you guys enjoyed this video, then consider hitting the like button and commenting down below what you did enjoy, so I can continue doing it, to continue making the videos as well as I have been. If you guys didn't like the video, then go ahead and dislike it and comment down below what you didn't like, so that I can improve upon that and make the videos better for y'all. If you guys want to know when I upload, then the best way to know is by subscribing. But that does it for this video. Until next time, bye guys.